What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are two dudes in a rabbit hole. I'm David.
I'm Gavin.
And I'm Riley eating an ice cream sandwich.
All right, today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the trades during the NBA trade deadline. We're gonna kick it off with the first one. We already covered the first. We already covered two: the Durant trade, and then the Lakers and the Timberwolves and Jazz. So we're gonna kick it off with the rest of them. First one is going to be Jay Crowder going to the Milwaukee Bucks. Uh, I feel like this is a win for the Pacers. I think the second best out of this was the Nets, and I think the Bucks only receiving one player for this kind of lost out. What are your thoughts?
Gavin?
Um, I think for the Bucks, it's a good pickup. It's a veteran guy who has playoff experience. I feel bad because I feel like George Hill, Serge Ibaka were falling out of the rotation a little bit, and especially the George Hill part because they had Javon Carter, who kind of they traded, I think, from the Grizzlies, and he just has stepped up in a really big way. So I think this kind of just shores up their rotation there and kind of helps with their perimeter defense and shooting until Chris Middleton comes back. The Nets just keep stockpiling picks, kind of what you're doing when you're resetting. You want to have open avenues to go wherever you need to go, whoever player they're targeting, or if they just want like a hard reset. And then the Pacers, I feel like they're just kind of in the middle. Like they're picking up like veteran pieces. I don't know if they're just doing that to just fill out their salary, like their cap room. But maybe they just have these other guys that they can again just ship off to other teams for either buyout stuff or other second round pick stuff. Because I think the real only good player I think the Pacers got was Jordan Nwora, who's kind of a younger wing who's shooting decently. Kind of was in the rotation for the Bucks for a minute, but nothing too major. But that's all I got. What you got, Riley?
Trade's pretty simple. Brooklyn gets a few seconds. They got Jay Crowder through the Suns deal. Jay Crowder, he's going to be totally fine, relatively competent for the Bucks. It's mostly for their more small ball lineups, I would think, when Brook Lopez is off, and then you can stick him next to Giannis and Holiday, Middleton, and take whatever guard you want to put in there. It's fine for they're giving up like 5 seconds here. It's fine. If you're the Pacers, you're getting some seconds for some salary dumps. If you're Brooklyn, you get a few seconds. Who wants Jay Crowder anyway on their team? That's it.
All right, just to let you know, this is rapid fire, gentlemen. We don't need a 30-minute conversation.
Fuck me, I was like 30 seconds.
I mean, you're
Yeah.
fine. I'm mostly poking at the other one.
No.
Moving on to the
Okay.
next trade
Okay.
was Mo Bamba to the Lakers and Orlando picking up Patrick Beverly. I think this was a fair trade. Um, More than likely, Patrick Beverly is getting bought out. I do think the Lakers edge it out, but I think it's pretty even.
Gavin?
I think they basically just got Mo Bamba to replace the Thomas Bryant minutes because he got shipped to the Nuggets, and hopefully you get him in there for some interior defense and potential stretch five shenanigans. And I mean, Beverly was nice, but Bamba was very young, so hopefully you can just re-sign him and maybe you got something. So yeah, I think the Lakers won that one by far.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. I think, if anything, it's a matter of there were so many small guards with the Lakers. Getting rid of one wasn't really that big of a deal. And a second round pick, some cash, it's fine. Mo Bamba, sure, I guess. I don't know. It's fine. It's okay. That's it.
All right, on to the next trade. We have James Wiseman to Detroit, Sadiq Bey to Atlanta, Gary Payton the second to Golden State, and Kevin Knox to the Trailblazers, and 5 second round picks to the Trailblazers as well. Um, I think this is just shifting around some players. I think this does help the Warriors a little bit. But at the same time, I think they also were done with James Wiseman. So that's all I have for this one.
Yeah, this trade can get vetoed. Gary Payton did not pass his physical with the Warriors, so the Warriors have until sometime tomorrow to decide whether or not they want to veto this trade because of that.
Gavin?
So if they do end up vetoing it, I just would feel bad for Atlanta because I feel like adding Sadiq Bey is huge because it's wing depth that Atlanta needs, and essentially for the Warriors, they're giving up Wiseman, and if they keep it, giving up Wiseman, getting back Gary Payton the second. When I mean they could have done that last offseason, they just let Gary Payton walk and they signed up for the same thing. So it's just weird, but yeah, I mean the big winners in this one to me is the Hawks getting Sadiq Bey.
Yeah, I think the Warriors really just wanted as much of a look as they could get at Wiseman. They knew, hey, we're still going to have some sort of deal at the trade deadline. We want to see him for, I don't know how many games he actually played, but they had an opportunity to see him in upwards of 50 games if they wanted to. Decided it wasn't worth it. I don't know why they didn't just get Sadiq Bey. Like, as good as Gary Payton is, like, I think Sadiq Bey is just like such a good value if they want to do that. Shout out the Hawks for getting him. Don't get me wrong, I have no idea where he fits in that rotation, but I'm not going to argue some second round picks for somebody who is, if not a starting caliber player, pretty close to it. So pretty neutral trade. Portland gets some seconds. I think it's kind of fine all around. No qualms with it. David?
On to the next trade, we have the San Antonio Spurs receiving Kaheem Birch, a 2024 first-round pick, top 6 protected through 2026, 2023 second-round pick, and a 2025 second-round pick. And then the Raptors received Jakob Poeltl. I think the Raptors won this one, even though they had to give up some picks. I still think they won it. Gavin?
It's hard because I want to agree, but I'm going to disagree for two reasons. I think where the Raptors are record-wise, they should have been sellers instead of buyers. And the second reason is Poeltl, I believe, is in the final year of his contract, and I think on their free agency, he's going to demand upwards of like $20 million per year. So I just feel like they should have moved on from Gary Trent, OG Anunoby, or Fred, because I don't think they can re-sign all of those guys without going over the luxury tax. So, I mean, it's cool seeing him go back, but I think the Raptors, I don't know what the Raptors are doing, so they confuse me. Riley, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think we really get the answer to who won this trade until the offseason. Like, how much does Poeltl end up demanding, and how much are the Raptors willing to spend on it? I think there's a chance they're positioning themselves for like a star trade, where it would be like OG Anunoby, Gary Trent, and picks for that star, and Poeltl fits with just about anybody but like, Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic. So I think they're probably positioning for that. That was a lot to give up. I guess they just still believe in this core. I think they should have scrapped it, but I at least see why they wanted to do it. And Spurs, I think they got good value.
All right. Next trade we have is Bones Highland being shipped off from Denver to the Clippers. Nuggets received 2024 second-round pick and a 2025 second-round pick. I do think the Clippers won this trade. Yes, Bones did fall out of the lineup, but there's always value in some of these electric players. Gavin?
Yeah, I agree that the Clippers are winners here. You just had a falling out from the Nuggets. I think Bones can be a really good player. I just think he needs just to be in the right system, and I think Ty Lue is one of those good coaches that can help him kind of steer him towards that direction. I'm surprised he only went for 2 seconds. I thought he would at least get you a first because of how many different ways you can score. But yeah, other than that, it's been awesome. So I'm excited to see what Bones does. I think he'll start, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, this feels really nuanced to me because you don't, unless you're just an incompetent organization. We're not talking about the Kings from 5 years ago here. We're talking about the Nuggets, who are at the top of the West. They did this trade for such little value because Bones at this point had become an active detriment in the locker room. They just kind of took what they could get. The same thing happened with Kevin Porter a couple years back. It occasionally happens. It really sucks when it happens. Denver looks bad for making this trade. I don't know if they had a choice, though. They're going to be looking at the buyout market for backup and potential guard help. And if you're the Clippers, I think this is the last fucking thing you need. A guy who's going to take isolation shots and couldn't play off inarguably one of the best passers in NBA history. How is he then going to try and play off the other guys on the Clippers? Like, I actually don't like the fit at all. I love the value. I hate the fit. That's what I got.
What I have something to say about that. You do have two of the best wings, I think, to be in the league. They've had all their moments. I think they can kind of rein them in. That's that's why I thought the Clippers won this trade. As far as the player, the value, and the issues that come with him. I think Kawhi, yeah, he's quiet, but he can be kind of mean sometimes. And you got Paul George, who's definitely going to be outspoken and has no problem being outspoken. So,
Can't wait till we can another team next year.
Yeah, whatever.
Paul George.
All right, on to the next trade. New Orleans Pelicans get Josh Richardson, and the Spurs get Devontae Graham and 4 second-round picks. I do like Josh Richardson. I do think, though, that the Spurs still won this. They are very good at getting quality draft picks, even in the second round. That being said, who knows?
Yeah, so this one...
You got it.
This one feels to me like they needed more perimeter defense. And I think Devontae Graham, as good as a scorer that he is, he's not a really good defender. So giving him up for the seconds to get a Josh Richardson, I think it's a fair deal. I mean, I don't think it's too overpriced, maybe like a smidge, but I mean, New Orleans is trying to compete, and I think this helps you do that. I'm just curious to see when they actually do get in the playoffs and they do shrink their lineup down, if Richardson is even in that kind of last 8 or 9 guys. So we'll see, but I'm excited for it.
I actually have the same thought of, is he even going to be in the rotation or how many minutes in the playoffs if they're in the playoffs? Like, I don't know if the Pelicans can stay healthy. That's a whole nother thing. I think it's really good to have him right now because he is healthy and they've had issues staying healthy. So there is going to be minutes for him. And it's second round picks. We saw those fly all over the place. This is also a luxury tax move for the future, getting off Devontae Graham's contract now. I believe Josh Richardson is expiring.
Gotcha.
All right, the next trade was the Hornets receiving Reggie Jackson and a 2028 second-round pick, and the Clippers getting Mason Plumlee. Weird trade, in my opinion. I don't like it whatsoever. I think, even though I don't think there should be a winner, I do think the Clippers win, considering Reggie Jackson's probably going to be bought out.
Fair.
I think this helps the Clippers more because, as you said, Reggie Jackson's most likely going to get bought out. It helps the Clippers more because they really needed that backup 5 depth, and I think Mason Plumlee can be a good backup 5. He was doing some things in Charlotte that, you don't like seeing out of Mason Plumlee, but that's because he was starting over there, and I mean, they're kind of a bottom feeding team. So I think having him as a quality backup on a playoff contending team is awesome. And yeah, the little minutes that he'll get, he'll make the most of them.
Yeah. Don't have a whole lot to add. Just trying to keep Zubac fresh for the playoffs, and he's probably only going to play like half of each playoff game anyway. And the Hornets got a second. It's an expiring contract. It's a tiny money save and a second round pick. It's nothing to dislike.
All right, and on to the next trade, which is Eric Gordon going to the Clippers. The Grizzlies getting Luke Kennard. Houston receiving Danny Green, John Wall. Rights to swap Milwaukee's 2023 first-round pick with the Clippers' 2023 first-round pick. Also another weird trade, but surprisingly enough, I'm going to pick the Clippers as a winner for this. They also got 3 second-round picks as well as Eric Gordon. Danny Green, sure, he can shoot still, whatever, don't care. John Wall's going to get waived, and a pick swap that's kind of moot in my opinion. Grizzlies, I don't know what you're doing.
Gotcha. I think the winners, in my opinion, are the Grizzlies in this one because I feel like one of their biggest issues was they didn't have a lot of good shooting around them, or at least not another quality shooter off the bench. And I feel like that's what Luke Kennard can provide to those guys. I wonder if it's just he's better and available now as opposed to what Danny Green can give you. It's a weird fit because I almost said Minnesota, because Memphis likes their guys who can play both ways, offense and defense. So Luke Kennard doesn't really fit that mold, but I feel like Taylor Jenkins is a good enough coach to put him in the position to succeed. And then Eric Gordon back to the Clippers, really cool move. Just another sort of bench scorer, go get a bucket guy. So that can help both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard do some rest days until the playoffs. So that's about all I got.
Yeah, you're getting a solid shooter if you're Memphis. Clippers, I mean, sure, I don't know if this is really the difference. I think it's just a matter of how well do PG and Kawhi play. Strangely enough, I've done a lot of like looking into this draft. This swap is actually kind of like semi-important because basically somewhere between like 18 to 21, depending on who you talk to, is where there's a pretty significant drop-off in this draft. So this could be the difference from being pick 26 to being pick like 18. So it's not going to break the bank or anything, but just a little side thought. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, the next trade, we have the Rockets getting Garrison Matthews and Bruno Fernando, and the Rockets getting Justin Holiday, Frank Kaminsky, and 2 second-round picks. Hawks cut out some salary cap on this, but I think it's kind of a even swap, just looking at the players. But the 2 second-round picks kind of add a little value, so I see the Rockets taking the edge on this trade. Gavin?
I think it was a trade for the Hawks to potentially get more shooting throughout their lineup, because I don't know what's been going on with Bogdanovich. I think he's been pretty hurt throughout the season. So I think it just kind of adds another 3-point shooter over there. But it's basically just your 11th, 12th, 13th man on your rotation swapping teams. I know that they initially traded for the Holiday brother from the Kevin Huerter trade, hoping that he could just provide them with defense and shooting, and that never really amounted into anything. So they're just hoping Garrison Matthews can do something, I guess.
Yeah, it's a small money save, a couple second-round picks. I think Atlanta sent like 7 second-rounders out today. They really don't care about him. That's all I got. Small money save, sure.
All right, the next trade we have OKC and the Suns. OKC gets Dario Saric and a second-round pick, while the Suns get Darius Bazley. I think this is a win-win for both teams. Suns offload a bunch of money after trading for Kevin Durant, while still receiving a quality player, and OKC gets more height in their front court.
I think the swap for Saric and Baisley is getting a probably younger, more athletic four in there that can still stretch. That way he can potentially be played in lineups with like Kevin Durant. I'm just curious to see, because he is still pretty young, to see if they'll close with him, if like kind of if they have certain sets in mind for what Baisley can do. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I just don't know if Baisley will be able to kind of like step up and provide them value.
Yeah, I mean, the Suns save a bunch of luxury tax money. Sarge basically replaces Muscala and OKC for the remainder of this year. Just spacing in the front court, that's always going to help young players develop. And Darius Baisley, he'll at least have a chance to try to compete for some sort of rotational minutes. I don't know if he ends up being 10 minutes a game or if he could find his way into like the mid 20s. It's going to be him, Josh Okogie, and the other guy I can't even remember the name of. Just trying to find no wing. Doesn't really matter. I'm sure he'll close and make a big shot in a playoff game, and I'll look stupid. But it's just a matter of like finding those rotational wing minutes to help replace sending two wings out and only getting one. Well, you're getting two back, but you don't know what you're getting from Warren. So like we'll see. I think it's totally fine trade. I like the flyer on Baisley. I think it's solid. And OKC, you're just getting money and a pick.
All right, on to a trade we already covered, but I see there's more to it now than when we originally covered it. The Knicks receiving Josh Hart. The Trailblazers actually also received Ryan Arcidiacono and Savi. I can't even say that. Yeah, whatever. And then Cam Reddish, 2023 lottery protected first round pick. It's New York's, and it turns into 4 second rounders if not conveyed. I see this more as the Trailblazers winning it. They get rid of Josh Hart on his cap hit. They get Cam Reddish, who hopefully proves that he's worth the trade. They also get a first round pick. Yeah, it's lottery protected. So as long as they don't end up in the lottery with that pick, I think it's fine. And then the two players, we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, I think the Josh Hart to the Knicks helps them shore up their rotation, more guard depth. And then for the Trailblazers, it's basically giving Cam Reddish his sort of final chance potentially in the NBA. See if he can be like a quality starter or if he's going to be able to carve himself out like a role player type of thing. But it's good because the Trailblazers really do need wing depth. So I think it's a win-win for both sides. And yeah, for Ryan Arcidiacono and Svi Mikhailuk, they're just kind of cap filler, I believe, at that point. And I actually think Svi Mikhailuk ended up on the Hornets, I think. But that's neither here nor there. It's basically just Josh Hart to help a playoff team compete and Cam Reddish potentially for a up-and-coming Trailblazers looking towards the future.
I think it's a fine trade. I think most of these smaller deals are just pretty neutral. Josh Hart gives Thibodeau one more guy to play with in the wing rotation, and bigger questions about RJ Barrett abound. That's for a different segment though. And they're in all likelihood just giving up 4 second rounders. Like it's second rounders. We saw a million of them move. It's not a big deal. And if you're the Blazers, luxury tax move, you're shedding some money. You take a flyer on Reddish. That's it's fine. No big deal. You're probably screwed this year anyway. I mean, sorry, Portland. It's the reality. What do we got next?
Up next is a 3-team trade. Hornets 76ers and Trailblazers. Hornets received Svi and the 2023 second round pick, its own, they got back from Philadelphia. 76ers got Jalen McDaniels, New York's 2024 second round pick via Portland, and Portland's 2029 second round pick. And the Trailblazers got Matisse Thybulle. I think it's a pretty neutral trade, but I do like the Trailblazers picking up Thybulle.
I think the big one was the Sixers getting the McDaniels because both him and his brother are really good defensive fours that could rebound well and are good rim rollers. So that helps the Sixers shore up their bench and probably can help them offensively if for whatever reason they don't believe that PJ Tucker is helping them for whatever reason. But yeah, that's kind of all I got on that.
Cool.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on it, Riley?
So if you're Portland, you're taking a flyer on Thybulle. I think I'm out on him, so I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. If you're Charlotte, that's like a top 35 pick. Like that's going to be somewhere like 31 to 35. That's actually like not the worst value. It's pretty close to a late first. Not bad. That's totally fine. And if you're Philly, I actually think McDaniels might like end up closing for you in playoff games. I think he probably should, to be honest. Probably not over Harris, probably over Tucker. Maybe you put him in there instead of Maxey if things aren't going well, stuff like that. Yeah, I really love it for the Sixers. I think it's a matter of Charlotte saying we're too early in the like rebuilding phases to want to pay somebody like 10, 15 million right now. So I get it. All right, last two.
Nuggets getting Thomas Bryant. Lakers getting Davon Reed, 2025 second round pick, 2026 second round pick, and 2029 second round pick. I think it's a moot trade, pretty even for each. Nuggets get someone to help out their rotation. Other than that, it's pretty even.
Yeah, I think the big one was I think Thomas Bryant before the trade deadline requested a trade, so they just traded him away. But it was weird at first because I think that trade went down, and then we were kind of like, "What's going on?" Because Thomas Bryant was decent for the Lakers, but then they ended up swapping Pat Bev for Mo Bamba, so the Lakers still got a backup five. This definitely helps the Nuggets because their backup sort of big rotation wasn't the best. I think it was just like Zeke Naji and DeAndre Jordan, so definite upgrade. And I mean, Thomas Bryant can stretch a little bit too, so he'll be huge over there. And I think Mike Malone's pretty happy to have someone like him.
Yeah, I think this is actually like semi-important for Denver. They pretty desperately needed a backup center. Bryant can even just be like competent, even on one end of the floor. Like he can be relatively all right. That's big for 5 to 10 minutes in a playoff game. Like it doesn't even have to be a lot. And if you're Lakers, apparently second round picks get you rotation players now. So getting 3 back in this trade kind of could be important in the offseason. Kind of a wait and see. That's it.
All right, and last but not least, we have the Celtics receiving Mike Muscala and the Thunder receiving Justin Jackson and 2 second-round picks. I think the Celtics are a clear winner here. It's weird that the Thunder are moving off of a big man, but, it is what it is, and I think this helps the Celtics.
Yeah, I think the Mike Muscala to the Celtics helps out because I don't know if Luke Cornett is hurt, but it basically gives them that backup stretch 5 to fit that Luke Cornett role. And it's just another dude that can space. So it kind of makes them deeper and a better 3-point shooting team. And I think, yeah, for the Thunder, it's probably looking into next season whether they'll get Wemby or when Chet Holmgren comes back, kind of just showing up minutes over there for their future bigs.
When are they gonna like use these seconds? Like they already have so many prospects.
True.
If you're the Thunder, you probably already knew you were gonna end up with Saric. So it's just you already were gonna have another stretch big to continue help develop your guys. And if you're Boston, you're pretty happy getting Muscala because Al Horford's fucking old, and Robert Williams is way less healthy than Al Horford, so that's a problem. So they just kind of needed somebody break in case of emergency, give you 12 minutes, give you 20 minutes maybe, and kind of oddly important to them potentially, depending on how injuries shape out.
All right, is that your final thought?
Yeah, that's it. Let's
All
wrap
right,
it.
ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you today. We're Two Dudes in a Rabbit Hole. I'm David.
I'm Gavin.
And I'm Riley.
We'll see you next time.